Today we're going to talk about synths, specifically Ableton's operator. This is a very, very powerful, dope, awesome, fun to use synth that I love making all kinds of sound with. I'm going to show you a bunch of those sounds I like to make with it, and I'm just going to walk you through it step by step, everything that you can do with this synth that I like to do. So let's check it out, yeah? Let's take a look. This is operator right here, and you find it right here under Instruments, Operator. So you're just going to double click, and it's going to make one of these bad boys appear right here. Let's take a look. There's all these like different regions here, this whole middle section and everything. Let's just take a look at what's going on the left side. Now each one of these things that you could click on here, each one of these is an oscillator. What is an oscillator? An oscillation is something that cycles, that repeats itself. So in this case, an oscillator is a waveform that repeats over and over and over, and depending on the shape of this oscillation creates a different type of sound. Now in synthesis, there's 4 different types of waveforms, and then other kind of mixed variations from those 4. There's the sine wave, there's the square wave, there's the saw wave, and there's noise. Now let's just take a quick look at what each of these sounds like and how you can make this happen in Operator. So click on this bottom oscillator right here. You're going to notice this because it turns white. Now right here under this thing here that says wave, you have all these options for waveforms. Now by default it'll have sine wave selected. Let's check out sine wave. Let's play with this. Okay, yeah, we know this sound. It's very pure, simple, soft, dark. A sine wave literally has no overtones. It's just a single fundamental. So it's just a very simple, strong, stupid simple sound. Let's keep going. Let's check out saw wave. Now you see there's a bunch of options for saw waves. Let's just check out saw D. That means it's going to be a fully developed saw wave. Yeah, here we go. Okay, that's interesting. That's really bright and buzzy and brilliant. Kind of reminds me of like a brass instrument, like trumpet or something. Square wave, let's check this one out. Okay, yeah. This one to me always feels also very bright, but strangely hollow and somehow more wooden, like a woodwind instrument, like a clarinet or something. It's very, very bizarre. And the last one, the most interesting one, is noise. Now let's check this one out. Whoa! That's basically TV static. So noise is very interesting. It has no repeating cycle and therefore has no pitch. It has no frequency. It's just chaos. It's just pure noise. And noise is very important sonically. It appears in nature everywhere, down to how we breathe. There's tons of noise in there. It's the sound of wind. It's the sound of ocean waves. It's the sound of street chatter. Noise is an essential part of our everyday sonic world. So it's very nice to incorporate that into synthesis. More on that soon. So let's go back to our sine wave. And there's also something else I want to show you here. There's this little window with these bars. And right now there's just one bar that's fully selected. And what that bar is, a frequency in something called the overtone series. Now the overtone series is an acoustical phenomenon which, based on the physics of our world, our universe, different sounds occur simultaneously when you make any noise happen. When I strike this table, when I pluck a string on a guitar, and synthesis is based around the same thing. Overtone series, more on that soon. Do your research in the meantime. But you could draw in your own overtone series. And each one of these bars represents one of those overtones. And the more you draw in, the brighter your sound will be, and the more it'll approach a saw wave, which is all overtones, full. Or you could draw in your own custom one. But right now we're going to go back to just a basic, pure, beautiful sine wave. Now we're going to talk about how to give this sound shape over time. And for that, we use something called an envelope. In music production, an envelope is an event over time. And that event can be anything from timbre to pitch to frequency. In this case, it's going to be the volume of the sound. So using envelope, we're going to make sounds that either have a long decay decay, or are very short and dry and staccato. I'm gonna do this with an envelope. Now, an envelope has 4 parts. It's the 4 different parts of a sound. There's the attack. That is the beginning of the sound. That is what happens when you first push down the key. And let's play with the attack. It's right here, and you can even click this square so that you could visually see the envelope right here. This is like a graph of volume, which is the vertical axes, over time, which is the horizontal axes. So right now there's no attack. The sound just happens immediately, which makes for a very sharp, percussive thing. But what happens if we make the attack very slow by dragging this away, or even just grabbing this square and dragging it? Ooh. Now our sound has this nice soft vowel-like quality, like a v. It ramps up. What if we make it even more exaggerated? And now it takes its sweet time. It's just so slow and sluggish. Nice, I like that. I'm gonna bring it back down to about 100 milliseconds. And the more you do this, the more you gotta feel for what these millisecond values mean. Like, you're gonna start to really feel what 30 milliseconds feels like, what 100 milliseconds feels like, what 1 second feels like. The next part of a sound is the decay, and that is what happens right after the attack, right after the beginning of the sound. Now, the decay is how long it takes for the sound to fall back to its resting point. And its resting static point, that is called the sustain. That is the body middle of the sound. That is what happens when you're just holding the note down. Like right now, that's where it's chilling. And you can set the sustain right here. So right now we have the sustain dropping by 6 decibels, which is a small noticeable amount, which right now gives this sound this kind of like puff, this flicker to it, as if you were going and then it dies off again. It's nice. It has like a pronunciation to it. So I like the sound we just made here, but what if we got rid of the sustain altogether so that this sound just was able to die back to nothing? And now all of a sudden it's a very, very short blip, very articulate, still vowel-like because of that soft attack. What if we made the decay longer? What if we made the decay like 5 seconds? Oh, yeah, I like that. So now it's kind of like, maybe like a vibraphone or a piano. Like, say we made the attack even shorter. So it feels more like something that's plucked. But now it's not something that sustains forever like a woodwind instrument or a Bout instrument, but it's more like something that you would strike with a mallet or like a piano, where it's going to gradually die out to nothing, which is really, really nice. And the last part of a sound is called the release. This is what happens when you lift your finger off of the key. It's the after part of the sound. Now right now this has virtually no release, but if I made the release really long, like 1 second, watch what happens. I could just tap my finger lightly down, and the sound continues afterwards. What if I made it like 5 seconds? Ooh, yeah, nice. So now it really is kind of like if your synth was some sort of vibraphone, or the piano with the sustain pedal down, where the sound just rings on its own without you having to press it. This is very nice. It's fun to play this way and creates for just a very soft, open sound. Now what we've kind of been secretly building here is the go-to basic strong 808 sub sound. It's got this kind of like nice fluff attack, it's got a natural decay, and it's a sine wave, which is just big, pure, thick and juicy, especially in the low register, like down in the C0 range. Down here. Yeah. Cool. So I like this synth we just made. I'm gonna go ahead and just keep it in the project. I'm gonna hit duplicate, and we're gonna label this one. We're gonna call it sine sub with no vowels. Because why not? And let's make another sound. Let's introduce a second oscillator now. Now you notice we've got 4 of these bad boys, so let's get to know them all. What if this next one was a saw wave? And we're gonna use this trick where you could control click and you could copy the envelopes from other oscillators. So I'm gonna go ahead and select copy envelope from oscillator A, so that this one has the exact same envelope. And now I'm gonna roll in its volume here, because these could be mixed individually. There it is, that's that saw wave. yeah. So now we've got mostly sine wave with a little bit of saw wave. It makes for a very nice supported fundamental sound, but still that buzz of the saw. Now check this out. Right here there's two knobs called coarse and fine. Now with these, we can change the pitch of the oscillators. Let's try coarse first. Let's go up just one click on coarse so that it says 2. Oh, so what just happened is, as you go up to the coarse knob, it will transpose that oscillator up through that overtone series. So the first change is going to be an octave. Get this big, regal, powerful sound. I can keep going. Let's try 3. Love that. Now we've got an octave and a fifth. Keep going. 2 octaves. You just keep going. Nice. Now we've got 2 octaves and a third, etc. That's something to play with right there. I'm going to go back down to where it says 2, so that's just an octave. And now we're going to try the fine knob. This is one of my favorite things to do with synthesis. We are going to detune these 2 oscillators so that they rub against one another so that it gets thicker. That's perfectly in tune. And we're just going to tap up. Oh, here we go. Starting to happen. Yeah, it's getting wonky. What if we change that first oscillator also to a saw wave so that we have 2 big, strong, full saw waves rubbing against each other? There it is. That's interesting. Maybe I'm going to make them be in the same octave, so I'm going to take the coarse down again. Nice. Let's see how out of tune we can make these. Let's see what we could get away with here. Let's really just push the limits. Damn. Okay, but more. Oh my god. I feel like I'm scoring Stranger Things. Yeah, sick. I don't even know what note it is anymore. So to make this sound more different from our first sound, let's give it a very soft attack, like maybe somewhere in the 100 millisecond range. And a quicker decay. Yeah, something like that. I like that. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the envelope from A to B. That's interesting. So that's going to be our second sound. That is called saw lip. So let's keep going. We've got 2 more oscillators. I want to get around to using all 4 of these. And our third one, let's keep things going with this variety. Let's get a square wave involved, and let's roll that in. I'm also going to copy the oscillator envelope from A. Nice. And now that we have 3 oscillators in total, I want to start playing with the octave spacings. What if we have the second one go up an octave? And I'm going to make that less out of tune because it's just a little OD. There we go. That's very nice. And I'm going to have the third oscillator a different amount out of tune. Get this nice spread. And you kind of get to just play around until you find the sweet spot that you really like. And what if that square wave was on the 3 coarse setting, so an octave and a fifth up? That's cool. That's very cool. So what about for this one, we went for more of a plucky, articulate thing. So I'm going to get rid of the attack, just have it go down to 0 for all of these. Now we're kind of in some video game 8-bit territory, but I like it. Maybe make the decay a little longer on each one. A little shorter. A big part of synthesis is exploring the extremes. You want to know what it sounds like when you go too far. You want to go all the way to the end of that dial and figure out what does this sound like, and then all the way to the other end of that dial and say, what does too little sound like? And just gradually work your way to meeting that sweet spot, which is going to be somewhere right in the middle, but you can only find it by going all the way to either side. That's awesome. And you can get really specific about the blend. Like the square wave seems to be very powerful. It's almost overpowering both of the other saw waves. So maybe I'll turn it down slightly. I love that. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. And we're going to call that square 8-bit. Let's make one more sound, yeah? You down? So for this one, let's get that fourth oscillator involved. I'm gonna have it be noise, because I want to get that earthy, organic chatter in here. So let's turn on noise, let's see what happens. Ooh, there it is. I'm gonna have it be the same envelope as oscillator A. Yeah. This gives it this nice, very organic sandiness, scratchiness. I really like that. So now let's go back to the soft attack thing. So I'm going to make each of these attacks, and you could either do it individually or you could do the copy from other oscillator thing. Up to. That was awesome. So cool. And maybe we're going to do a longer decay. It just feels a little too sparse right now. Back to like 5-ish seconds. And remember, you're going to just naturally build up an intuition for what these lengths of time feel like. In the beginning, it's numbers, but most important is what these feel like. Yeah. And maybe I'll have all these be in unison, so they're not displaced by octaves. So we just get this really just big, unified, thick sound. Maybe I'll make the square wave more out of tune. Nice. Yeah. Awesome. So that's just a little introduction to what you can do with operator, just using the 4 oscillators on the left side. Next up, we're going to talk about filter, then the LFO after that, pitch envelope and routings, the whole damn thing. I'm going to show you how to do lots of awesome things with this. In the meantime, enjoy this here. Thanks for watching, y'all. Much love.